Welcome to you for joining the event right now, Networking with Santa. So we are with Santa right now and we're networking. We invited friends from our business connections to join us right here on Zoom. So here we go. Let's take it away. Santa, what is happening in your world?
Well, it's 51 days till Christmas. Lots of time to book Santa for private visits and to houses. If you're in the central Minnesota area, if you're worldwide, then we can still have a conversation because I can do Zoom calls to your family. I can do videos to your family. Yes, so I am available worldwide year round. But in the next 51 days, it's going to get rather interesting because Santa's got lots of things on his books and it's going to be interesting and a lot of fun to share some Christmas cheer, some Christmas spirit, some Christmas magic to families from all over central Minnesota and all over the world. So I'm looking forward to it. It's I haven't had this much booked up this early in the 8 years, so I'm excited to see where it's going to go this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. And lots of people in Minneapolis are going to be able to share and create some wonderful memories with Santa Papa John. So it's going to be fun.
Awesome,
And
awesome. So we like to hear this should be, the two most fun months of the year and just keep getting better every day going. Santa, I want to bring something up that is a little bit, you know, um, a little bit on the opposite side of what we're used to with you. But you help combat veteran suicide by spreading hope to veterans with Project Die Hard, and the idea of suicide ideation. And in the world of mental health, it's brought out that the cheer of the season and everything isn't always embraced. I know with our friend Zach Clayton, you two team up to deal with some of the challenges and some of the plights, and people pass away, and maybe they're like this last weekend was about like All Souls Day, and people like Day of the Dead and all that kind of stuff. So how do you deal with that, Santa, in terms of like we want to be out here, smile, happy, cheerful, holidays and all the magic, but some people aren't quite there. How do you approach that? People in the down in the dumps and in the doldrums.
it's a tough one. And of course, it's a personal decision on each person. Uh, their their mental acuity is an interesting word. The reality of how they handle it is a big question there, Kurt. Some of them handle it by unfortunately receding into, their rooms and they don't want to communicate and they don't want to participate. But if you know people like that, you got to reach out to them. You got to be nice. You got to be kind. You got to get them involved in conversations because at least when they're conversing, they're having a conversation, they're not thinking on potentially how bad things are for them. Whether it's bad or not is a very interesting subject, and we can help. We can always help by organizations like Project Die Hard, Santas, and I'm sure there's a lot of other Santas will to reach out. They will have conversations. They like helping veterans as well. We all love our veterans, and sometimes there's not enough people to reach out and help, but we don't give up. We don't stop. We continue striving to create a atmosphere of no pressure, enjoying conversation, creating a conversation. And that's what one of my other websites there, Mr. Kurt, is the Warriors Beacon of Hope, where I'm creating lists of services scholarships and meetings as a portal of information for our veterans. So, yes, that's another wonderful website to help our veterans. We can never stop helping our veterans. Unfortunately, the government does its best, but sometimes that's not good enough. And we just need to strive to continue to work forward, to have conversations, to get our veterans who go through PTSD and other mental, what's the word I want to say? They're not a disease. They're conditions that plays havoc on the brain cells of our veterans, and it puts them not in the best of mood, the best of situation, and unfortunately they make the wrong decisions sometimes. They think it's the right decision, but for family members, it's not. So, yes, we never give up on our veterans. We always want to promote happiness and positivity to anybody that listens, especially our veterans. And if you know someone that's going through a hard time, point them in the direction of any of the associations out there. There's literally thousands of different associations in North America and worldwide that want to help veterans. There's veterans all around this world, and each country has many, many different associations and groups that will help, that want to help. And if it's a money situation, some of the places will even help with that. They will help with counseling and many other resources at their disposal. So, folks, we love our veterans. If you know a veteran that's going through a tough time, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's many positive ways to help veterans and people that are going through tough times. And right now, it's for some of them, it's a pretty interesting times because, like Kurt, when you first asked me this, they find this time of the year very tough to put on the is it what's the word I'm looking for? The facade that they pretend there's something else when they're really not. But that's where the communication factor comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the idea is the largest healthcare crisis known to humankind is social isolation. So, all of the holiday parties, all of the activities, all of the sales that businesses run, all of the thing is designed to create that engagement, which for a lion's share of the population is very effective and very ideal in what everybody is looking to do. I have a Shertel relative, Jory Prudzinski, who's the founder of HopeInstilled.org, and he has designed his programs to be the oasis for our friends living in chronic pain. And so in the chronic pain community, points out that it's a difficult relationship and conversation and exchange, because as a person living in chronic pain, you don't want to carry or allow the stigma of being that person to have that objectification of like, oh, I'm not reliable because I live in chronic pain. But there are these health conditions that, as much as you want to invite somebody to a holiday party and to maybe be at an event where Santa's there, somebody might realize like hours before that that they're not really in the right condition to go join their friends or loved ones or whatever. It's like, say, someone with cancer.
Yep.
someone going through cancer. You could have that situation where they would just love to be there, and maybe some people are stoic and they go ahead and they go to the event and they're going to tough it out because they're like, I got to be there for my family and whatever. But, that's something that we can keep in mind to be
Well,
considerate.
I can even take that a step further, Kurt. Mrs. Claus is that way. She walks with a cane,
Okay.
and she's been used to it because she's got, you know, things going on with her body. She's getting older. We're all getting older, and things are not staying put together like we kindly like to say. But some children might be scared of the cane, so she picks and chooses the events that she wants to participate in because she doesn't want to give the children the false idea that the cane might be scary to some of the kids. So there's a prime example. She wants to help, she wants to participate, but she knows the right thing on her in her mind is not to go because of the underlying reasons that could cause discomfort, miscommunication between some of the children, I guess is a good way to put it, you know? And that can, like the way you were explaining it, it doesn't have to be a cane. It doesn't have to be, it can be a sore ankle, a sore knee, but there's more to the story than we need to ask. And they put on the brave face because they think it's the right thing to do for the family, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, like people who live alone, I mean, you're talking about something where you're at least at the house. And, for folks who live with a person in that situation, there's extra, there's extra balancing going on that when we have someone else that we adjust to or adapt to or coordinate with or facilitate or be a helpful hand or whatever it is, or be that person, like you said, conversation is to talk to, when we look at our own, self-care, attending to our own things just for ourselves, much less anything we do with other people. And then in terms of the constraints of time, there's a lot of, consideration there. And at the same time, it's an art form because we don't want to talk about things in objectification or creating a stigma because the idea is burden. No person wants to be a burden to another person or group of people. So the art form is how we create a functional arrangement that is healthy, nurturing, and supporting to an individual. And it's done in such a natural, agreeable, and facilitated way that people are being included for the value that they are, from
Yep.
seeing that self efficacy and, being a source of what we're looking for so that they're always valued. Again, to get away from the stigma of being a burden because that's the fear factor a lot of people have, which so if they live alone and say they maybe need a ride, maybe they don't want to burden somebody, be like, oh geez, I'm going to be asking someone to come all the way to my house, then they got to help me load into the car, and that's the only way I could go to the event because I'm not really in a situation, or maybe ongoing, not driving ourselves. So to me, it's a big opportunity in our society and our culture to figure out how we're going to have that functional consideration to help others. Like our friend Zach says, if you're not helping, anybody, if you're not helping anyone, you're hurting everyone.
Right.
So I love that because that really provides accountability, to think of, are you doing what you have the capacity to do, which is to help the greater good? Because with community pay it forward, that's the whole mantra, is pay it forward, help your neighbor, help the elderly, help the young, look who
Yep.
you can help and look at pay it forward, because we all get into that season, those circumstances and whatever, when you look across our entire lifetime, we all find ourselves in that need. And whether we're willing to admit it or not, whether we're stoic or stubborn or whatever, however we treat the situation doesn't take it away that every single one of us find ourselves in that time of need where we have that opportunity to reach out for help from a neighbor, family, friend, community member, acquaintance, whoever it is. Maybe out in the community with strangers. Since something comes up like your battery runs out. Oh, can
Yeah.
you give me a jump? That
Yep.
type of.
Well, I'll take that example. I know a guy that, he delivers cheesecakes around, and he was up 100 and, well, yeah, 100 miles, 150 miles from home in northern Minnesota. He didn't know anybody, blew a tire, went to change his spare tire was flat. He was 10 miles out of the closest city. So it was like, okay, who do you call? You know, who can come and lend a hand to help, fix a flat tire? Who can bring a, compressor out there? Maybe it needs some air. That spare tire just needed a little bit of air because he had forgot to check it for a little while. So it's little things like that that is part of networking, knowing people, who knows what, who needs how to open the door to start the communication, the conversation
Yeah.
on any different subjects.
Yeah, and so as we look at the holiday season coming up and the weeks going by, you know, we all have what happens or not in our faith community or our faith journey, whether or not we're plugging into faith communities or not. We have that. We have what nonprofits do to carry the theme of the holidays and so on, like how Community Pay It Forward serves nonprofits like Project iHeart, that
Right?
you and I both support. And then you have the educational realm. In terms of a lot of times in the educational realm, it's about, like you and Zach are doing with, Miracle of a Community that comes together, that you're looking at all faith traditions, all possibilities of how December could be experienced,
Yep. Yep.
to appreciate everybody how they go through the month of December. And and then you look at government, government too, like our country, regardless of, creed, in there in our
Yep.
declaration. And then you look at the business community, like you and I in networking groups, how we do that to, embrace the holidays, with all that, like with Happy Neighborhood Project. We take a couple weeks off to just let everybody go and to just kind of take away that idea of coming to HMP events when we have the alternative to do a whole bunch of other stuff, with the holiday times. And then you have all the other fun, like the holiday traditions provide a bunch of fun, the culture custom, but within there, there's like hobbies, like maybe people are making little crafts that follow the theme of the holidays and stuff like that, or pastime, or like going ice skating and wearing your garb that carries the year, going sledding. Sometimes sledding is attached to getting together and enjoying if there's snow. That type.
Even sitting in the backyard enjoying a bonfire,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, all of
It,
that
it,
stuff, and travel, to look at all the traveling that takes place in the month of December. Just a big spike, because everybody's trying to get to their families. And then there again, you and Zach are coming in and responding to, not everybody's in that situation to be able to do the travel for whatever variety of reasons are. And then you guys are creating a live stream experience so that through the video consumption, like providing video, that you guys are collecting videos of people that is like a shout out and a messaging, a communicating out to their loved one. And then the idea is to disseminate that out to the person wherever they are in the world to receive that message, helping
Absolutely.
families stay closer together.
And sharing of the message to family members that are away with technology like we're using now, Kurt, it's so much easier to do. And the only reason why you don't do it is an excuse.
Yeah.
You know, the excuse is, well, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too sore, I don't have time. Well, you know what? That those are all excuses why you can't send a video to a loved one. You can't send a video to, someone that you're thinking about. Whatever the reason, whatever the reason why you can't is an excuse. And, people need to get out of their excuse momentum, whatever the case they want to say, and say, geez, this would really put a smile on someone's face. This would maybe change the way somebody thinks. I'm going to do it. And people need to pull up their socks and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like with our HMP friends, you know Denise Vargas, Diva? You know her?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been a
So
while
her,
since I've talked to her, but yeah, she has that thing on Friday nights. Is it once a month? Once every 3 weeks? I seem to always miss it, but yeah, I did it a couple times, but yeah, there's a prime example. I mean, remind me, she is in the wheelchair, but she says I'm not going to let it slow me down. I'm not going to let it hinder me. I'm still going to go out and promote and have fun and create a fun activity, fun way to communicate. I'm not going to let the means hinder me.
yeah, her whole mantra is that when she finds herself in a situation where customary thought would be about, I can't this, that, or the other thing, her live creatively mantra is about really continuing the process, so getting the other half of the equation going for how can I?
Right.
So to have all
Yep.
the things to recognize how it's a challenge or how there's a barrier, all the things, the excuses and all the stuff, it's a natural thing to maybe go there. But then the trick is what we do once we're in that space, which to your point is to get out of the excuse. That's the
Yep.
big thing. To get into the excuse is one thing, that's an assessment of the situation, and like as an EMT, they taught us to do a scene size up, so you can have
Yep.
all the stuff in terms of the problems, the trouble, the danger, all the stuff, but then you still have to think like I'm here to serve a function, so how am I going to get this done? Because they called 911 because you're the one to get it done. So
Right.
taught us critical thinking to think about, how we're going to execute pre-hospital care, because we don't leave the scene until they get equal or greater care.
Right.
When you're an EMT and you get dialed, or a law enforcement officer or whatever, that's the commitment we make, is that we don't leave the scene, we don't leave the person that called 911 until they're in hands of equal or greater care. There has to be transition and standard of care that's maintained, and if they're not going to accept it, then that's where there's a sign off that if they
Right.
refuse the level of care that we have. And I guess that's almost like what we're talking about with the holidays, that if you try to be happy holidays and do a cheer, like actually our friend Brian, it's kind of like you come in with normal, like, hey, how you doing, and all the bubbly stuff. Brian is a guy that's not afraid to keep it real and to not fake it, and he's maybe not looking to have me out him or anything but to me, all of us have that, where we have a choice where if we're not really feeling it, like you said, you mentioned about faking it, about putting
Oh
on
yeah.
that's just a part of life. So that's something to be sensitive to and to, be aware of, that somebody maybe just trying to be polite, being sociable, and maybe not revealing something that they're going through. And it's the old thing of be careful what you say and what you do. You never know what the other person is going through.
Well, and that is such a powerful statement because, like I say in my videos every day, share a smile with someone you don't know because you don't know the backstory. And you're taking it to the next step. Don't say the sentence because you don't know what's happening in that person's brain cell. You don't know um, what it's taken them to get to the point where they're meeting you face to face. Don't assume anything because that's only going to get you into trouble.
Yeah, and the way to navigate that in trainings, it's all about the questions. So the
Yep.
idea is that if you think of, if you really have to admit you maybe don't know everything going on right at the moment, is to ask questions. Even you and I talking, I'd be like, you know, are you thinking that way, Santa? You kind of do that check in because when people sense like you know, it's not really about what you say; it's about how they make you feel that you remember. So when you're asked a question, it's like you appreciate the attention that they're giving you because now they're giving you a chance to really share and you're helping them understand a little closer of what otherwise they maybe don't they wouldn't have any way to know without you answering. And that engagement, message sent is message received, and conversation modeling, some trainings are they teach you how to say, well, if I'm understanding this correctly, you had a tough time out on the road, your tire blew, and and now you're sitting here, you got all frazzled earlier, and you're trying to regroup and make something of your evening now after a tough day. Is that about what's going on here?
Yeah,
You
no
never
kidding.
know what you're
Yep,
saying.
absolutely. You know, and what do you, if you've had a bad day, what do you do to climb over that bridge to bring your back self back down to a level playing field or bring you up to a level playing field that you can do something that you enjoy during the course of the evening without thinking about how crappy of a day you've had?
Yeah, and kind of in the like with our business circles, like one of the things that's true in business is we experience this a lot. Like the real example has been like to say in a McDonald's drive-through, everybody knows McDonald's is always like, would you like fries with that, or would you like to have one of our apple pies, or you go to order in a drive-through, and they're like, what can we make you hot and fresh today? Or it's
Yep.
that expression of suggestion. So with having the questions and developing that understanding, if you feel after a few rounds of where is this going type of thing, now you can think of power of suggestion and the art of persuasion, the art of allowing, and just kind of see, like in business we say know, like, and trust.
Yep.
So the idea is if we say, I think I have something that could help you, or I have an idea or something, you can see how they react to a statement of you're putting the olive branch out, or you're that hand up type of thing, or whatever the situation calls for, where you're trying, you go ahead and make that effort and you see how it lands. Make that offer. You
Oh
know,
yeah, absolutely. And you know, the key factor there is generate the conversation by asking the right questions. And if there is a drawback, if there's a pause, too much hesitation, or pausing too much, you're going down the wrong rabbit hole, which for some people can mean the whole way they respond.
yeah, it's like I've been telling the story the last handful of years. About 6 years ago, I do the water skiing, and when I was out there with our water ski show group, that we perform water ski shows, but this was on a practice night. I grabbed my skis, came out of the water, and I had an opportunity to talk to a gentleman that was in our lakefront park. And at the end of the quick conversation, I was like, hey, how about joining our club? But he wasn't that he's a water skier, but I was
Right.
talking about we have the boats, we have the dock, we have our stage thing. There's a lot to it that is not water skiing, not actually
Right.
being the one having the skis on. And he looked at me, and we had significant silence. You're talking like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, but in a conversation that's pretty significant. And the
Right.
thing that he told me was, I thought you had to be someone. I thought you had to be somebody. So that was eye opening to me, because that's a man in our community telling me that with my privilege to go out there and ski and behind our boats, ski up and do all the things. Now, not that he wanted to ski, but to look at the boat drivers, the folks helping on the dock, the folks helping on land, that with what they're all doing with me, that be a part of the crew, like he wasn't worthy, that
Right.
inequity,
Yep.
type feeling that really woke me up. I mean, that really hit me hard, Sam.
So when you think of that, is it the human nature that assumes that they're not part of the club? Or is it society and the way society talks about, interacts about different clubs, organizations, groups that people in their conversation is putting out the wrong message to um, interact with that conversation, that they assume that they don't belong? Now, you can take that through any subject.
Yeah.
Is it the way people create the conversation that gives the wrong perception?
Yeah, and Santa, I'm actually going through that with our water ski club, because I'm kind of prompting them to say I want to run a campaign. And right now our club, we're 109 members strong. We've got something in the 60s of water skiers. So having over 60 water skiers to put on our 20 water ski shows every year is a decent crew. And to have over 60 water skiers that want to water ski, and then to find slots where we can keep all 60 water skiers busy, is
Yep.
something for the show director. It's a task to make sure that that they're not forgetting anybody, so they feel comfortable, like we've got the water skiers we need for 2026. So then I said, to me, I think then the importance is to do something new. I said, in 42 years, our club never came out to say, the Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club, the perfect club for non-water skiers, and to cite, the, participate on the pier, hop in a boat, help along the shoreline, all the things, join our committees, to show all the things that are not water skiing, that are done through our 501c3 volunteer organization. Like, we're going to be doing a holidays event, in our village, that is the community celebration with the tree lighting and all the stuff.
Right.
And we go to the grocery store, the supermarket, and we take donations, boatload of food. We do, so there's activities that, to me, I told them that's our opportunity to tell people all of the community activities that everyone in our county could participate in, what's going on with our water ski club that we do when there's no boats in the water, where we're not even on the water. We're indoors, we're outdoors, we're out in the community, all the stuff we do. I'm like, let's go out there and make that a "We Want You" campaign. And we want everybody out there that has no desire to water ski, join
Right.
the water ski club with no desire to water ski. I'm like, that's a message, that's our opportunity. And to what
Yep.
you're saying, Santa, is that we have an opportunity to think about how we communicate without having that campaign. I tell them that we give the impression like we're a private organization, and we don't want anybody. And I'm like, well, that's not true. We want people that just don't have a desire to ski. So let's make that our opportunity. The opportunity is all of you out there that don't water ski, we're the perfect club for you because we're looking for people who don't want to water ski.
Right, because there's so much you emphasize it in the conversation that you're having with anybody with the club in mind, that it takes a lot of back behind the scenes people to make the shows a reality. And without those people, it can be pretty difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, another example about how you can give a creative twist to things is I was on a meeting today with Plowshare out of Waukesha, Wisconsin. And
Okay.
their establishment is for fair trade marketplace.
Right?
You know what fair trade's all about?
Explain it.
Fair trade is like if you think of artisans or like a lot of it is about women around the world that produce crafts or paintings or jewelry or all the
Yep.
stuff that they can produce, and because of where they are or who they are, zip code, whatever, they maybe get pennies on the dollar for their product. So
Right.
fair trade marketplace creates a nonprofit element to say that that person is challenged to get, fair market value for what they produce. So to help the equity for them, that they put the same amount of work as somebody in the city of New York where there's a huge market and there's the demand or whatever all the circumstances are, where people are and all of that for commanding the price is an issue, and it's an equity issue. So fair trade marketplace is about subsidizing through nonprofit work, not government subsidy, but
Right.
nonprofit philanthropic subsidy. That if they only in the marketplace command a dollar, what we do is when you look at wholesale pricing. So the store, the fair trade marketplace store, even though that person is selling that thing for a dollar all over the place, we look at that maybe $3.50 an item, $3.50 an item is more fair market value. So as a nonprofit, we buy it for that, and then as a nonprofit, we worry about turning around and even commanding a higher dollar. Because like Waukesha, Wisconsin is a very affluent and effluent market. There's people with money,
Right.
where we live. So what we do is we reach out to people around the world to say, bring your products through us, and we'll be able to give you a more fair price for what you're doing, so that when they then get the income from the work they do, it's fair trade marketplace. Because that's a huge issue, and that's something that is part of many things we can do to build a future where, like you say, third world countries and stuff like that. In the centuries of past, it's like just what it is.
Right.
Some people live in places where, unfortunate to
Their
them,
their marketplace is how far can they walk, or how far can they go in a vehicle, or how far can they go on a horse to share their crafts that they have created, and that becomes their market because that's as far as they can go. You're trying to open up the door to a worldwide market to bring light to a lot of these artists and designers and creators that people have never seen their stuff before.
yeah, and you become aware of the Great Discovery, right? I don't know if
Yeah.
you're.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so with the Great Discovery has fair market or fair trade marketplace built into it. On the other side, to say, with the courses and the education on the Great Discovery platform, that say in some of these villages in Africa and whatever, but to say pennies on the dollar, that price adjustment is made because there's the idea is, do they get educated or do they feed their family? So the
Right.
idea is the price is adjusted so that the purchase is more achievable to folks that don't have much of any discretionary money to think about. participating in an educational platform like the Great Discovery. And the Great Discovery has free courses. So as
Right.
long as, like in Africa, a lot of Africans are using what are called francophones. So
Right.
these francophones allow them to have better success interacting with a platform like the Great Discovery, going on and being like, oh, free course, free learner account, free events. So all the free stuff is very helpful to have an economic uplift for people all around the country. So or all around the world. So there's a lot of things to, provide that response. I think, again, thinking of Zach, he was doing that's more in the hospital realm that he's responding to, though, with, children, is it children fighting cancer or children hospitalized to
Yeah, I think
do
so.
the books and whatever, the
Yeah.
storybooks. And
Yeah.
so you want to talk about that a little bit? I've been kind of giving a tease about it all the way along. Why don't you give the full rendition of what are we
Well,
talking?
let's see if I haven't had a conversation with him in a while, but
Yeah.
what we do is I just throw in my little 2 cents or 4 cents, however you want to put it. But Zach came up with the idea of a 37-hour telethon. And why is it 37 hours? Well, this wonderful world has many different time zones. And if you start at, I believe it's Easter Island at midnight, and you go through all the way around to Hawaii, you can't just say that's 24 hours because of the time zones. It ends up being 37 hours. And what he's come up with the idea starting Christmas Eve is sharing videos, promotions, talking with different people from around the country and a few from around the world to share happiness and positivity and create some wonderful moments of sharing personalized stories to a family member that might be across the state, across the ocean, across the world. But it's not just for our veterans, it's for firefighters and EMTs and anybody in the field that is required to work on Christmas Day and they can't be with their families. So it started off just with veterans and soldiers, and now it's expanded to include all medical, doctors, firefighters, anybody that's forced to work Christmas Day. And I'm blessed to be part of it. I have a great relationship with Mr. Zach Clayton, and his community pay it forward is one of the things that he does. But this is a separate little venture that has a spin-off of community pay it forward to help generate maybe a little bit of money, a little bit of donations, but more along the lines of sharing videos, happiness, and he has all kinds of volunteers that will go and create a 45, 30-minute, 50-minute episode with him. And I do two or three or four of them during the time frame to and some of my stories. He even creates some of my stories and plays some of my stories. I create custom stories for families where I'll say the names of the children in the stories. So I made one for his grandchildren, all seven of his grandchildren last year, and he played it during the part. It added 10 or 12, 14 minutes to the 37 hours, and this is how we fill it up. And it's come up with some wonderful different ideas, and I'm proud to be part of that.
Yeah, and another thing that's been running for a long time now, long-standing monthly event with Mr. Z, with Z
Yeah,
World Webs, and um, he's got trying to think of he's got a nonprofit, like I almost want to say like Z Nonprofits or something, but
yeah, I can't remember what it is now, too, either, but it's something
but
like that.
yeah, but he's got, yeah. So Mr. Z has a platform where nonprofits can get their program listed complimentary. But then with what Mr. Z and Zach are doing together, and you're routinely on there, right, with the family networking.
Yep,
That'll
yep.
That was the second
Yep.
Thursday of the month at is it at 5 Central?
4 Central.
Sure about that?
Yeah.
Four
Because
Central. All right, I got to change my notes.
it
I'm not
was
like,
the same time as our friend from Australia. So now that's changed to 3. So this will be at 4. So that'll work out good thing. And then my story time is at 7. Folks, if you haven't heard
wait.
me talk
So
about it earlier on, I read stories every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. For about 1 hour, I'll read 3 different stories, usually of Christmas themed stories, and it's free. So come and enjoy some stories by Santa, and you can enjoy a hot cup of cocoa and have some cookies, maybe, and sit back and listen to some stories with your children, with your maybe your adult children's. Maybe they have a big heart and they love the Christmas idea. But yeah, I started doing this about 4 weeks ago, and I'm going to go through every Wednesday till Christmas time, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And I create new stories every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central.
yeah, so I just want to clarify, Santa, that you go with Mr. Z. Mr. Z hosts a networking group every week at 4 Central, but then once a month, Mr. Z and Zach and all of us, we get together for family networking on Thursdays, which is a different networking group, and
Correct.
that's at 5, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
sometimes you got to watch the times, and with the time change, it's not going to change the times unless you're from outside of the country. But different times changes. I mean, England changed theirs 2 weeks ago, which screwed up some of the people and some of the networking over there. And Australia changed theirs a month ago, which we are involved with some networking from Australia. So it become really interesting all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks because this changed this hour, this changed to this hour. And meanwhile, we're all looking at the clocks going, well, it didn't change for me. But because of time changes around the world in different countries, time changed differently. It did affect.
Yeah,
Oh,
so Santa, I've had quite a productive few days of conversations. There's been a handful of individuals that have influenced me. That I'm coming in this week with an amped up perspective that it really, you know, it got me to a point where I'm creating a campaign like I never dreamt I would be creating. But here it is, Santa. Is I've been playing with actually for several months now this year. I've been really working the idea of reaching the entire population of planet Earth. And I really looked at it that, you know, I just look at what can we do in 8 years to keep driving all of this unity and with all this technology, the live streaming television network, like with Mark Balin and Easy Way TV, all of that with social media outlets like LinkedIn and Facebook and all the AI technology and just looking at where is all this going and thinking of like Disney World and Epcot at Disney World. Epcot is experimental prototype community of tomorrow. And, so basically Mark Balin has us with right now we're at 750 million in reach. So with the idea in the months ahead, we can handle a billion in reach. It's like right there in our midst. So
right.
I created this 8 year campaign to say right now we're going the rungs up the ladder. That 1 billion by 1 year from now, then I'm going to continue the pattern. 2 billion 2 years from now, 3 billion. So like a billion of increase of reach every year till we get 8 years from now where we have a great functionality for folks on the grid and off the grid. So people, there's people out there that don't play into the email and the
No,
internet tools
no.
and all that, but there's through community elements and just face to face, doing local events and so forth. that we can create, quite a dynamic process that we can deploy and have support and participation for every person on this planet. I believe we can do that in about an 8-year period. So 8 by 8, I call it 8 billion by 8 years from now. What do you think?
That is a quite an interesting concept, and it's quite progressive. So, but the reality of these things and their technology and the computers, there are so many people being able. Oh, William figured out the wrong time frame.
It's all right. We've got 2 minutes, so we
Yeah,
can do a power 2 minutes with William.
William's joining us from Glasgow, Scotland, young man. You're
Yeah,
muted, buddy.
William.
Yeah. 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 I'm fucking right. 11 o'clock, not 12 o'clock.
Yep, I was, and I said 5 hours when it started, not when it ended. So we're just about wrapping it up. But tell Mr. Kurt what you do.
Hi, mate. I'm a photographer. I take pictures for the media and press.
And he's photographed some pretty high end people. He's done some movie stars, he's done royalty, he's done, some very interesting people that have visited in London and around the UK. So he's got quite the library of
Pictures.
movie stars and important people in the world.
Yeah, well, I did Jack Lowdown the other day.
You did the other day, you did who?
Jack Lowdown.
And who is he?
The star of Slow Horses. In the Apple TV program Slow Horses.
Okay,
He's in it with Gary Oldman.
there you go.
You'll find him on Apple.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So that's
I network with William with another group, and he's become a very good friend. So I appreciate it. But my fault. I should have sent you a message earlier on saying, hey, it's going to be with the time changes and shit happening and stuff like that. We sort of missed, but that's okay. You got on for the last couple minutes.
So 6 p.m. there just now.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's 6 p.m. We start at 5.
Right, so I'll find somewhere on my world clock. It says 6 p.m. Somewhere like Austin or somewhere like that, probably. Yeah, somewhere's in the right area.
Yeah, I sent you the message, but I didn't send you the timing, so my fault. I'm sorry.
That's
So-
okay. No, it's my fault, shouldn't you?
That's okay. We'll get you on in 2 weeks now.
Yep,
I do it the 1st and the 3rd. So
yep. That's fine. Okay, I'll get in my diary. Yep.
yeah, there you go.
So-
You'll have to put it on your schedule.
Yeah, so William, if you did have time, I'm going to have some folks coming in through Hubcast. We're working on some stuff with the United Nations. So when we close out here with Santa, if you did want to stay on, William, you could get a little business networking in if you did want to take the time. That's what we're
Yeah,
gonna
I'll just stay on for 15, 20 minutes anyhow. Yeah.
do. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. So
I got to
Santa,
jump
open up
off. So it's Kurt, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
we take what we can
Okay,
get.
William, we'll see you next time, buddy. I gotta jump.
Seen Monday, Santa, if not before.
You bet. All right, take care, guys.
Take
Thanks.
care. Bye.
Yep, bye, Santa.
I'm just trying to put you on